Five Nights at Freddy's has been ripped off across countries. Where in Russia, there's an illegal FNaF game with controversial figures, Mexico has a freaking unlicensed FNaF restaurant you can eat in, and this country has whatever this is here. That is surprisingly political. Today, I'll cover them all, from least to most crazy. Meaning up first is Five Nights at Stalin. Okay. We work in a museum of Soviet life, up against the main antagonist, the leader Stalin, which was a very bad person, so guys, please don't make fun of the actual events. What's crazy about this game though, unlike other parodies made by Russian developers, is that it's actually sold on Steam at a lower price than normal FNaF games. It seems quite illegal, and it doesn't seem like the people that buy it really care, with so many reviews like, "It changed my life!" And Five Nights at Stalin is a transcendental cultural artifact that only redefines by interactive media. The reason this hasn't been sued from profiting off of FNaF's name is because Scott Cawthon, the creator, is quite nice. He only gets upset if the game costs money and their characters can be confused with his real mascots, so young fans don't think this is an official game. And saying this, it makes so much sense. Anyways, the gameplay is kinda smart. Stalin, unlike the other guys that will show up, is a statue that is the main attraction of the museum. Having to prevent him from escaping or killing us, the way we calm him down is similar to the puppet from FNaF 2, where instead of winding a music box, we must fine-tune the radio on our desk to quote, "play Stalin's favorite music." Oh, okay, that makes sense. This is Chapchik Kucherabi, a Russian song that was historically to Stalin's personal likings, just like other communist or personal music to Stalin that returns him to his calm position. This is surprisingly relevant to know for this other guy, Lenin, another Russian leader who gets active when the music is on, coming closer and closer to us and getting an axe. If he has his axe ready, you can't play any of that music, which might seem confusing since he was also a communist leader, but I think it can be linked with the fallout of Lenin and Stalin, where Lenin didn't want him to be a leader anymore since he was kinda rude to him, so I guess he doesn't want him to be calm. Anyways, the game is so hard. The only other bad guy I haven't mentioned is a governor that you have to flash from the windows, but wow, this is like freaking UCN. I died so many times, even for no apparent reason, starting in night freaking 1 with just Stalin in the roster. And it wasn't just me. Look it up and no one has recorded the ending. So many others just failed night 1.
Go back to where you came from, Stalin.
Turns out that although no one warns you about this, there are multiple songs that can play at once, and some are quieter, which isn't loud enough for Stalin to hear, so it's like you're not playing anything. You have to specifically find the loud ones and move the little bar just right for it to be loud. This while dealing with the best part of the game. We have like little papers we have to sign by our boss's request where you can scribble on them. Despite this all being quite difficult and random, I set out to be one of the few that actually beat it, dying like a billion times and getting into the final night 5. You don't only deal with everything with a higher difficulty as expected, but there's also like a random possibility that the lights go out at any time. Why? Gert you, that's why. If you had the radio on before, you can't turn it off now. I guess our guy is blind or something, and you will most likely die to Lenin. I think to try and make it more fair, they made it so Stalin can sometimes show up on our windows instead of killing us instantly before entering our office where we have to hide under the desk and he resets to his normal position. By the way, the controls are kinda janky for hiding or looking up that I somehow took the chair with me. Very funny. This made me realize that the reason I've been having trouble recording this game while freaking Fortnite ran fine is because everything here is rendered in 3D. Unlike traditional FNaF 1 where everything is kinda like pictures or GIFs that constantly change to simulate movement, Five Nights at Stalin actually seems to render in real time, which is actually kinda impressive. If you beat the main nights, nothing really new happens and the lore just wraps up. The 6th night seems to be repeating the same phone calls from night 1, pointing towards the fact that our character is stuck in a loop, reliving his horrifying job over and over again, just like Bendy and the Ink Machine. Wow, absolute cinema. Although it's easy to clown on the game, you can tell the hard work that was put into it, and from conversations I've had with Freddy Cat, he seems like a really nice guy who genuinely wanted to make something cool. He even got a real gramophone to record the radio music. So for what it's worth, I approve of this. It isn't that insane compared with Mexico's Super Freddy's Pizza. That is a real franchise, which I do think is illegal, as you can visit this restaurant with FNaF characters, which are the totally real animatronics. It all started when I stumbled onto this Reddit post that read, "The fictional restaurant from Five Nights at Freddy's, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, is one we have all surely wanted to go, until I found that in Mexico there is a pizzeria being Super Freddy's Pizza, and with that a respectfully really creepy picture. I've just hidden the faces of the people here for, privacy and stuff, and also the logo of the pizzeria at night. If you don't know, the reason there's no real FNaF location is because Scott is afraid of anyone trying to recreate what happens in the games. The child murders. Also, while writing this, I literally just realized that this reads Super Freddy's Pizza, and Freddy is like grabbing a realistic pizza picture that doesn't fit in with the artwork. A quick image reverse search shows that this comes from the most obscure piece of official FNaF merch. They've got this image from a cardboard cutout made by Scholastic in their book fair with FNaF novels. Anyways, if you click on their Instagram page, it says it's not available anymore. I could still find videos though that showcase how the restaurant looks like, where you can host your own private birthdays with the people dressed in mascot suits of FNaF 1 Freddy and, for some reason, Toy Bunny. Anywho, I wanted to say that, whoa, oh no, I'm stuck in the YouTube backroom since I only have like 300 subscribers. Please, oh please, just press the button quickly so I can make more content. Okay, thank you. What was I saying? Kinda seems like you had a favorite, Toy Bunny, but they had to include Freddy in here because notably he is the face of the franchise. He's the most recognizable. We see though that they know how to dance, you get custom pizzas here, and the kids are enticed to make drawings of the animatronics and paste them on the walls, building a real ambience from FNaF, and it's honestly really cute. Thing is though that it seems to have closed. Everything else on social media and their Google Maps location has been deleted. So did Scott find out about this and shut down the actual location? Not exactly. See, my theory is that the restaurant was originally opened thanks to the large amount of traction that FNaF got from its first movie, especially in Mexico where I'm living. It was insane. So many people just stopped and flooded the cinemas. So I think you can see where I'm going with this, as a couple months ago the FNaF 2 movie released, where OG Freddy isn't one of the main guys but Toy Bunny is. So I think they most likely took advantage of this because they really seem to like Toy Bunny, and that's why they changed to Super Bunny's Pizzeria this April, taking Freddy out of the name and putting Bunny front and center. The pizzeria is still open in Tlahuac with continuous marketing and such, and honestly, although it is technically illegal, I don't think this will ever be taken down by Scott, nor do I want him to. This is clearly a self-opened local restaurant in Mexico, which is quite common here. It's not even close to damaging FNaF's reputation, and it gets Mexican fans closer with the franchise while they can go to official US events and such. It's kinda heartwarming with all of these pictures and fun everyone's having. Something I wish I could say for Russian FNaF 5, the most insane thing I have ever covered. The name FNaF 5 is funny because we never really got it. After FNaF 4, the number title stopped, opting for names like Sister Location or Security Breach. If you've seen my videos from before, you would recognize that this isn't truly a real FNaF rip-off made in Russia, although the voice actors and the game-like movement makes you think otherwise. It's an animation made by this guy, Theft King, simulating player movement by animating on Unreal Engine, a crazy video game engine. Anyways, before we cover this supposed game, there's like a lot of lore background that is necessary to understand, but basically what you need to know is that Jackie from Secret of the Mimic is our friend now. Furthermore, the FNaF 2 animatronics capture the good guys to steal their blood and revive Springtrap. The thing is though that Jackie seems to be gay, so when they give him Jackie's blood, he is revived as gay Springtrap.
It is gay Springtrapping time.
The main guy behind this whole operation, Tails from Sonic, gets upset by this and tries to shoot Jackie before Helpy, one of the main characters, jumps in and takes a bullet for her. 6 AM hits and all the bad guys disappear until the next encounter. This is right where Russian FNaF 5 picks up, which surprisingly has political ideology. Something I haven't mentioned though is that Theft King has been doing this type of real FNaF ripoff even at his channel's beginnings when he used to make commentary videos. Looking back at this, it's honestly impressive how much he has developed his skills. Getting back on track, we arrive in Indigo Park, as for some reason there's a device here that will bring Helpy back to life. Our character, Victor, expresses his fear of going to this place, while Jackie reassures him it's the safest place in the world. Then everything starts blowing up and we fight with Guns, the protector of the park, Soul Dozer, the guy from FNaF World. Whilst Reiko, this guy, fights Gay Springtrap and Tails, and we are shown his power to respawn because he always comes back, which Springtrap says is crap before leaving. Jackie asks why we're not not shooting the bad guys before we accidentally kill Reiko again. We defeat the animatronic Souldozer and for some reason accidentally kill Dowie, which was a good guy and part of our team. We advance through the park when we get a call from Helpy with an eye that looks like the fake mimic Helpy from Ruin. Surprised how we can still be here, we continue on. Through a cutscene, we see Tails and Springtrap advance further into the park. Springtrap puts in charge his goon, who is, and forgive me for this, this guy, which you probably have heard about. However, we get interrupted by our first intermission, showing like a VHS horror tape of a kid waking up and getting instructions from Reiko, who tells us that if we can't sleep, we should go get a snack from the kitchen. Okay. Jackie leads on, entering Rambley's railroad, and we see the digital of Rambley from the games on the TV before Rambley blows him up and says,
I can't stand this f***ing guy.
We depart from the group a bit until we find a page that is referencing the guy that Springtrap put in charge. We collect the first file and the bad guy teleports to you, acting like Slenderman, where you gotta run from him and collect his 8 files. Bro, after collecting them, with the last one being a picture of Theft King, the bad guy gets really upset, chasing us into a corner until Jackie rides the Rambley train over him and he dies. We go through the same ride as shown in the real Indigo Park game, but with a lot more cursing. Meanwhile, in the VHS tapes, Reiko calls us by our first name and warns us to not wake our parents up. As we eat our snack, we see a shadowy figure outside our house that is actually kinda creepy. Reiko seems to notice this as he tells us to go eat in the living room instead. Alright, Helpy shows up again and tells us that we can find him in Lloyd's theater. We go and what? Tails, Springtrap, and Pobney are here? She used to be Helpy's girlfriend and is now dating Tails. We start an epic fight sequence where you see the screen. I don't know how to describe this. Tails has his own song that plays at, I think it's copyrighted. He also rides his rocket and explodes Rambley before him and the other guys leave. Seeming like Rambley is dying, Bendy's told to use his strongest ink, peeing on Rambley to revive him. Why didn't they do that with Helpy though? Reiko and Victor jumped into the portal the others escaped with to find ourselves in the amazing digital circus, where we find Jax, who we distrust for some reason, and Reiko literally burns him for eternity. We tell Reiko that Bendy used his strongest ink on Rambley. The camera cuts back to the theater to show that the ink was too much, making Rambley ginormous, and he starts destroying everything and everyone. In the climax, we're shown one of our last intermissions. Reiko tells us to go to the living room and watch TV, as our parents wouldn't notice. However, looking out the window, we get a clearer view of this guy, who kinda looks like the person that has been appearing throughout the video in secret if you haven't noticed. Noticing we need to head back to stop Giant Rambley, we stumble onto the prototype who wants to kill us, preparing to have an intense 1v1 with Reiko before he gets crushed by Julian. We manage to get into the portal and escape back to finally stop everything. However, we change perspectives, seeing through the eyes of Bendy, as him and Jackie have gone into an underground area where Freddy is awaiting them to finally revive Helpy. Whoa. This VHS ending shows us watching TV. Reiko tells us that he's at our front door to help us sleep, and it's actually this guy. No, so scary. But in all honesty, this is incredibly well done. Anyways, we're back here to put an end to the Legion of Evil, with Helpy back in our team. He kills Pobney, which was deserved, and before Springtrap can get any closer, Giant Rambley catches him, and he freaking eats him. Everyone groups around Tails like an Avengers movie, and seeing there's no escape, he surrenders, being forced to apologize in a song.
You gotta go and meet him. Sorry.
Bruh. Freddy congratulates Mimic for a job well done, and everything seems like a happy ending. Well, that's what I would like to say until what would be like the post-credit scene for this game. We see that this Helpy isn't the real Helpy, so Jackie gets upset. And also Reiko is very depressed and wants to die, but can't, so he crashes the game like in Undertale and asks not to bring him back. Okay, I think these are enough rip-offs. You know there are FNaF games that were gonna be official spin-offs in the franchise? Click here to find out more. Let me know your favorite rip-offs. Shout out to Olpy. Thank you so much for the support, man.